Beautiful condition.
So I would just like to take a brief moment to thank my Patreons who support the channel and help make these videos possible for you all to enjoy. Thank you.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Feldpost Sunday here on the World War II History and Reenacting YouTube channel. Well, it's Sunday again and it's time to see if there's any Feldpost. You guys ready? 3, 2, 1. Kein Feldpost. Well, don't worry. You know what I always say? The Reichspost always delivers. And today is no exception. This one is heavy. Wir haben Feldpost. Wow, this Reichspost mail sack is filled to the top. This one is really heavy. Box. All right. Let's start with the small box. This one is really heavy. Let's see. This really has a lot of tape on it. What's this? A box inside a box? Inside a box? Ooh. Not bad. We have packs of ammunition. More specifically, 7.92 by 57. Full boxes. Beautiful condition. These are dated 1935. So really early ones. 3, 4, 5, 6. Oop. The box was broken at the bottom. 7. Stack them side by side. And then we have this kind. (1936) dated, and it matches the label. So we have 1, 2, 3. Beautiful stamping on the box in the back here as well. 4 of those. Not bad. I really love collecting ammo, you know. They just look so beautiful. The cartridges, the boxes, the labels, all the markings, the smell. Oh, so beautiful.
So we have 11 packs in total. Each cardboard box containing 15 live rounds of 7.9mm standard German military ammunition from the pre-war period. The caliber is also often referred to as 7.92 by 57mm or even 8mm Mauser in civilian terminology,
See how beautiful that is? The green lacquer and the primer pocket there.
But the correct period military cartridge designation for the 7.9mm caliber cartridges was Patrone S, Patrone SS, Patrone SMK, etc., depending on the type of bullet. Patrone meaning cartridge, and the following letter abbreviations describing the projectile. Note that the caliber is not mentioned anywhere on the label. The caliber designation 7.9mm is only mentioned in more technical cases.
Wonderful.
These first 5 boxes are all from the same manufacturer, from the same production lot delivery of 1935. The labels on most German pre- and World War II military ammunition boxes contain extensive load data and tells you everything you need to know about the particular cartridges inside, except for the caliber and the weight of the bullet, but includes the factories where the individual components were produced, even if they were not made at the same factory where the cartridges were assembled. Here is a quick rundown of this particular label. The first line tells us the type of ammunition, Patrone mit schwerem Spitzgeschoss, basically your standard heavy ball ammunition. The second line lists the factory where the cartridges were assembled. In this case, the manufacturer code is P186, followed by the delivery lot number, which is 3, and the year of production, 1935. The third line lists the propellant type, grain dimensions, manufacturer, lot number, and year of production. The propellant is identified as nitrocellulose Gewehr Blättchenpulver, or nitrocellulose flake rifle powder, with a grain size of 2 by 2 mm and 0.45 mm thick. This is followed by the manufacturer code, the lot number, 25, and the year of production, 1935. The fourth line identifies both the cartridge case and the projectile manufacturer, which in this case are the same as the assembly factory. The star symbol indicates that the case is made from brass with a 72% copper content, with lot number 25 from 1935. The projectile is also from the same manufacturer, with lot number 7 from 1935. The fifth and final line contains data about the primer manufacturer. These primers were made by SKD, with lot number 519 from the year G, which is the Reichsheer year code from 1935. The back end of the pack features an unknown manufacturer logo stamp for the cardboard box manufacturer. The cartridges themselves are in overall beautiful condition, and when we take a closer look at the head stamps, the information corresponds perfectly with the label. To the north we find the manufacturer code P186. To the east, the case material code S*, indicating a brass case with 72% copper. To the west, the year of production, 1935. And to the south, the case lot number, 25. The primer pocket is sealed with green lacquer, and the primer itself is secured with 3 crimps around the primer pocket. These next 4 boxes are from the same manufacturer, but were produced in 1936. The labels are almost identical in design and appearance to the 1935 examples, except for a large red ink stamp reading IL, short for Im Ladestriefen, meaning the cartridges are packed in 5-round stripper clips for use with the Mauser rifle. However, when we open the boxes, there are no stripper clips present, though the head stamps on the cartridges still match the label. Note that it's the cartridge case data listed on the label that should correspond with the lot number stamped on the case, rather than the assembly lot number. Why these boxes contain no clips is a bit of a mystery, but they were likely removed at some point and the cartridges repackaged back into the box. The back end of the pack also features a large 1936 dated manufacturer stamp belonging to the cardboard box manufacturer. The last two boxes are from two different manufacturers. One is dated 1935 and the other 1936. The labels also show differences in typography. One uses Latin lettering, known in German as Antica, while the other features a mix of Antica and lighter Gothic script, or Fraktur. The Antica typeface was commonly used for technical information and factory codes because it was clear and easy to read, while Fraktur was the traditional German black letter style often used for headings or descriptive text. This mixture of Latin and Gothic lettering was very common on German printed material in the late 1930s, especially on packaging and labels such as these ammunition boxes. Once again, we can see that the 1935 dated pack features the letter G, the Reichsheer year code for 1935, on both the powder and the primer data, while the later pack simply uses the number 36. Comparing the labels of these two packs from the same manufacturer demonstrates how the primer production year markings changed for cartridges made just 1 year apart.
Alright, let's take a look at the big box. How do we get in here? Smells like mothballs. This is something nice. You guys ready for this? 3, 2, 1. Oh yes. Look at that coat. That's in great condition. That's one of the best condition Norwegian Arte coats I've ever seen.
Arbeidstjenesten, often called Arte or AT, was a Norwegian labor service created during the German occupation in World War II. It began in the summer of 1940 as a voluntary work program organized by the Norwegian Administrative Council, where participants worked mainly in agriculture, forestry, drainage, and road construction. In the autumn of 1940, the organization was taken over by the collaborationist party Nasjonal Samling and renamed Norges Arbeidstjeneste. From April 1941, service in the AT became mandatory for young men of conscription age. Although the work itself was civilian, the organization was structured in a military style with uniforms and drill, performed with shovels instead of rifles. With the core of the instructors initially made up of non-commissioned officers from the former Norwegian Army. The Norwegian AT was modeled on the German labor service, the Reichsarbeitsdienst, and was supported by the German occupation authorities. This beautiful double-breasted full-length greatcoat is made from coarse, heavyweight, green-brown wool. It features 12 large, dark oxidized AT buttons on the front closure, with a single metal hook and eye at the forward neckline. The buttons feature the embossed iconic official AT and shovel logo on a ribbed background. The coat also features 2 internal pass-through hip pockets with external pocket flaps and sewn French cuffs. On the lower back is a wide belted strap secured with 2 large AT buttons, and below that, a row of small buttons and corresponding buttonholes runs all the way down for closing the rear vent of the skirt. The sewn-in pointed shoulder boards are made from the same fabric, bear no rank insignia, and are secured with small AT buttons. The overall construction and finish is excellent. Note the stitching on the collar, which closely resembles the structural construction seen on German military greatcoats. The coat is fully lined with a heavy, high-quality tan cotton fabric and features a machine-applied tailoring label on the internal breast pocket. The label reads "Perfect Confection," suggesting it may have been supplied by a Danish firm in Copenhagen, known for manufacturing ready-made men's clothing. While similar labels have been found on period clothing in Norway, it's unusual to see such a label on an enlisted man's coat. In the back of the neck are several interesting details. The number 10889 and the name Tangen are written in brown ink, likely the serial number and surname of the enlisted AT laborer who once wore this coat. A second, faint but identical serial number appears nearby. There is also what appears to be a sizing stamp in white paint, reading 48 Reg, with a matching stamp on the front of the coat, possibly referring to the size being a 48 regular, which is also the size it appears to be in.
So I really hope that you enjoyed this episode of Feldpost Sunday, and if you did, please hit that like button. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next episode of Feldpost Sunday. That's all for now. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, auf Wiedersehen. That's stunning. Beautiful.